pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, public hearing was for 6:30, correct? Okay. So, I guess at this moment, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Okay. So, Templeton Planning Board, 160 Patriots Road. To all persons deemed interested in the planning board acting under the provisions of Town of Templeton, General Bylaw, Article, you are hereby notified of a public hearing to be held on December 12th, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. in the Templeton Town Offices, 160 Patriots Road, East Templeton, Mass. In the conference room to consider an application submitted by Nationwide Auto Recycling Incorporated for stormwater management permit and site plan review. 1 per section 3.1.2.b and 8.3 of the Zoning Bylaws special permit for the use within the commercial industrial A zoning district. 2 per section 8.4 of the Zoning Bylaws site plan review. 3 per article LIII-NPDES Phase 2 Permit Stormwater Management Bylaw Stormwater Management Permit. The proposed project is located at 223 Baldwinville Road. The proposal includes the construction of a gravel auto recycling yard with an associated office building and customer parking lot. The development will occupy approximately 23.5 acres of the 55.5 acre subject site. All interested parties who wish to be heard shall be heard. All relevant documents for review are located in the offices of the Planning Board, 160 Patriots Road, in the Town Clerk's office. For further information, call Development Services at 978-894-2767. Charlie Carroll, Vice Chairman, Planning Board. Okay, now that I'm done with that, I guess, Wes, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to just give us a little quick overview.
Wesley Bliss, Whitman & Bingham Associates, here this evening to represent the applicant, which is Auto Auctions and Recycling, LLC. With me this evening also is Dan Werla from Auto Auctions, LLC. I know the peer review engineer is also here this evening. We can talk with him afterwards as we get going on here. The property that we're looking at is 223 Baldwinville Road. Baldwinville Road located here on the plan. Route 2, the westbound ramp, off-ramp is located in this direction here. Where Route 2 is located here in the westbound direction of Route 2. The site is approximately 54.5 acres, a little less than 55.5 acres. Where the frontage of the property is off of Baldwinville Road, from this point here to this point, where the rest of it's all on the state layout of Route 2. Currently, the property has an abandoned house. There was a garage and a couple other buildings that have already been removed on the property, where really the mature tree line on the property is in basically on the center of the property, where the front of that property was at one point maintained as a field or a lawn area associated with the house. Obviously, it's a little more overgrown now, or it was before. Some of the site work has taken place on the property. We're here this evening for 3 permits: site plan review, special permit for the use, and then also for the stormwater management bylaw permit that we have in place, because we're just serving more than 1 acre of the property. Of the 55.5 acres, around 24.5 of the acres is going to be taken up by this development, which is going to be all the property to the Baldwinville side of the property. There's a section of wetlands that bisects the property here, and we're trying to stay out of the 100-foot buffer zone of that wetland, so that the planning board is the only board that we need permits from. At a later date, there might be future development, but that's not on the table tonight. The proposal in front of you this evening is to remove the rest of the buildings on the property, to erect a 24 by 40 trailer, office trailer on the front of the property, and to basically remove all the grass and trees that shows up to this point here, and to gravel the majority of the property for basically what they're going to do is store vehicles on here. As part of operation, what they do is they auction off vehicles. And this is going to be part of that operation. They have 2 other operations local to this, and this is going to be an accessory site to those 2 properties. So this is going to be an accessory site to those two operations, where, like I said, their main purpose is to auction off automobiles. This is going to be a storage site for that purpose. We do show 21 parking spaces associated with this office area here. Parking requirements for that, we came up about necessity of 3, typical for that size of a square footage, but the tenant asked to put 21 spaces out there in case they do have a higher generation of traffic. People visiting the site to look at vehicles, they'll have those extra spaces. The intent here is when they deliver vehicles, they'll pull off here to the left-hand side where they'll use this area as a turnaround for any kind of trailer truck traffic, where they'll deliver the vehicles on trailer trucks. They use this area as a staging area for the vehicles, and the rest of it, like I said, will be storage of automobiles. The building, the new office trailer will tie into the municipal sewer and water in Baldwinville Road. There are tie-ins currently for this house here, and we're gonna investigate and possibly try and use those if we can, but right now what we show in the plan are new taps for the office. We're not sure if we can utilize those existing taps, and that's something we're gonna work with the DPW on to make sure that, see if we can at least use maybe the existing water tap, if not the existing sewer also. The main point of utilities that we see on this project is gonna be stormwater related, obviously with regards to the stormwater permit that we're here for. And so what we're looking at doing is keeping the grade similar to what it is on the site now, where this would be your break point, where your ridge of the site is now, where all the water on the front half or the westerly half of this property will sheet flow down into these 2 stormwater basins. Out of these 2 stormwater basins, this one has 2 outlets. Currently on the property, there are 2 sets of catch basins here that tie into a pipe that goes underneath Baldwinville Road, discharges out to a head wall. There's another catch basin associated with the swale here along the front of the site. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this site, but when you're coming down the off-ramp up Route 2, there's a swale that runs along that off-ramp. Once that swale ties right into that catch basin, 2 catch basins here on Baldwinville Road, again, discharges to the other side of Baldwinville Road. There's another set of catch basins a little further to the north corner of the property, but again, discharges out to the other side of Baldwinville Road. So what we looked at is trying to mimic what happens now with regards to the amount of water that goes to those catch basins. So what we're looking to do is on this stormwater basin here, is we have 2 discharge points, both tying into those sets of catch basins that I talked about previously. And then the basin up in the northwest corner, again, will tie into that catch basin, keeping the rate of runoff off the property to be similar to what it is now. The way these will be handled is, these will be your typical stormwater basins. Obviously, the water will go into them, come out of the basin a lot slower than it goes into the basin. On the back side of the outlet structures, we are showing water quality units to improve the water quality coming out of the site to meet the Mass DEP stormwater management standards with regards to TSS removal. And that's some of the things that their peer review engineer had reviewed. In similar fashion, on the back side here, instead of tying it into a catch basin, we're just discharging the basin out with a flared end, just a culvert out of that basin. But similar fashion, we'll put a water quality unit in the back side of this basin also to make sure that we have the water quality standard met with regards to the DEP standards. Where this one discharges out to the design, basically what we look at is this wetland area, basically capturing a lot of the water in the back of the property. And so that's where that water will continue to go afterwards, after it comes out of this long, shallow basin. We look at the height of this, around 2 feet at the most, the highest point for water in the back. You're not really gonna be able to see it when you're in the back of the property. These will be a little deeper, but when you're coming along the road, you're not gonna be able to see into the basin because they're gonna be built up, so they're gonna be blended in a little bit there where you won't be able to see into these basins from the street side. We show the entire site, at least with regards to the operation, to be fenced in with security fencing for obviously security reasons for their purposes, but also for any kind of vandalism and so forth, trying to get into the site, trying to keep everything private with regards to that. Because again, there's going to be a large amount of vehicles stored on the site. We don't want any kind of vandalism on this property. Along the Route 2 corridor, Route 2 side of it, we do show some landscaping, some trees planted along the fence here. Along the basin side here, we can't plant any trees within the berms of the basin and so forth. So the intent there is obviously grass the basins and keep those maintained, kind of make a green look to that front of the property at least. Like I said, there's no really room to put trees out there without impacting the structural stability of those basins. That's something that we had looked at, trying to squeeze trees in there, but there's really not a lot of room to squeeze trees, at least in the front part of that site, without getting into the state layout. From a from a standpoint of erosion control, we do show hay bales and silt fence along the base of the slopes in the back here and along the front here. We show some silt sacks and catch basins so that, during construction period, that none of the drainage infrastructure in Baldwinville Road should be impacted by the construction part of it. One of the features that we did carry along with some of the stuff they've done in previous projects is to create a berm along the outskirts, along the abutting properties and along the Route 2 side, such as a little bit of an earthen berm, 2 to 3 feet high, maybe buried, depending on how much excess material they have on the property, such that it creates a visual barrier, not be able to look straight into the site. And then the fence will sit on top of that berm, such as a little more visual barrier from the people driving by the property. Again, that's basically the project in a nutshell. Like I said, we're here for the 3 permits: site plan review, special permit, and the stormwater management permit. I know your peer review engineer has had a chance to review the plans. We have revised the plans per the peer review's engineer, and so that's what I gave you tonight, was the revised set of plans that came after the peer review was completed by Mr. Pammarini.
Yeah.
I know he has issued 2 separate letters. First, the initial letter with regards to his comments, addressed those comments, and then he's, as a second letter. And I think the second letter had to do more about federal and state permits that need to be gained for the project, and typically I know the board has in the past additionally approved projects with those added to them, knowing that this is the first step in a multi-step process.
Right.
This is the first road that will go in front of.
So now, is this going to be just for storage, or will auctions actually be held?
I think it'll be more, if there's an auction, it'll be an internet-based auction.
Okay.
So they do every Friday in Shirley, but I don't think they're gonna do any here
Okay.
on site. If they do, it'll be through the internet.
Okay.
People do come there during the week sometimes to view a certain car, but
Well,
it's,
it was just the 21, was it 21 parking
21
spaces? I just wasn't sure for, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
In the future, they might expand, if-
Right.
if-
I mean, there is room
if
to
it's
expand.
warranted,
Right. Right.
Correct, and that's what we looked at, the way we set the layout up, that they could expand the parking up this way in that front area, where they're basically using that as a staging area for some of the vehicles when they come in and out of the site.
I have a question.
Yes.
May I?
You may, Mr. Clerk.
You gotta
That
state your
short
name
edge on that, is that
name and address, Charlie.
Baldwinville Road that goes up and down?
Again.
Yeah.
What's that again, sir?
Am I able to?
Go, yep,
Question?
just state your name for the record.
Roland Clerk, right across the street from where you are.
Yep.
I got a big problem there, and I'd like to find out what's gonna go on, because of the fact I've been working on that since they started building the road upwards. When that house was built, it was built before any road ever come through except for the Baldwinville Road. It was nothing but a big driveway. And there's a pipe that goes right across the street. I just heard you say something about that. And it lands in the property right next to the driveway.
Whose,
All right.
your driveway, their driveway?
Pardon me?
Whose driveway, your driveway?
Yeah.
Okay, so, my guess is, I think we're talking about this culvert right in this area here.
The other way, he's across from 2.
Is yours the head wall?
Right.
Oh, so the head wall's in your property then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was part of the state improvements when they put in the off-ramp and.
No, that's not when they put it in. They put it in 3 times they heightened that road.
Yep.
Okay, and the house was built in about 1970s, I think, or 60 or 70. And the pipe was only that high from the top of the earth. Now the pipe is up, the pipe is down, and it must be at least 3 feet, 4 feet deep. And what happens, heard you mention about the water system down there, okay? What happens is all that water comes from across the street into that pipe right next to the driveway, and it makes a mud pie.
Roland,
And I brought attention to the state when the state was working.
just for clarification, are we talking about the store or the which?
The house.
The house.
Yeah, the
He
house
he owns the
across
house
the,
before Route 2.
Okay.
yeah.
And so you're talking the outlet side of on the back side of that head wall, you have a lot of erosion going on right now?
A
Is
lot
that-
of- A lot of what?
Erosion, is that, what's it? Is it all your dirt leaving that area, is that the problem?
No, it's becoming a muck,
From the sediment.
all right?
Maybe if
'Cause
you
all that
showed them
water now
where the house is. I've
I
got the
know which
map.
one you're talking about,
Huh?
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, you drive by quite often, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like somebody to take a look at it, because the last time I made mention of it, all right, the town went up and scraped something out, and they found an iron pipe, what do they call these?
Culvert?
Iron- Huh?
A culvert or a?
Culvert. All right, and they covered it over. And it's still there, right in front of that new fence you just put up.
Yeah, we dug up the two catch basins.
Huh?
We dug up the two catch basins,
You did?
yeah.
Well, there's a catch basin further on down where that pipe is supposed to go all the way down into Baldwinville. That goes all the way down on Baldwinville Road. And it was supposed to be hooked onto it, and I don't think they ever did it.
So would these catch basins would be draining into?
So right now, they drain across the street, what he's talking about.
They do, okay.
Yes.
And it floods this whole yard in the back.
Okay.
So what we did is we looked at the amount of water that went to those catch basins now
Mhm.
and then afterwards. And we have to mimic what the flow is that goes there now, and at least keep it less than it is. Now, with regards to tying in catch basins to go to the opposite direction of Baldwinville Road, that has to be the town issue, because we can't change the flow of the catch basins. We're not allowed to do that, it's not something out of our purview.
Well, why did they put the iron gate on it?
Well, because they've always said the catch basins are there
No,
to
but
collect
it's
the
not
water.
being used, not being operated.
I don't know why they
I
did
think,
that.
yeah, I think that would actually be like a town of Templeton.
Yeah, that's a public works issue.
Well, I
This is
don't-
something we can
I
work
don't
with
know
Alan
whose it
Mayo
is, But
about.
I know that all that water is coming across the street, and I warned them about 2 years ago. If it's not fixed, I'm gonna take some concrete and I'm gonna plug it up. Then it's gonna backfire up and go and start going across the road.
Is that, if I can just speak real quick,
Sure.
I'm Noah Houston, I'm Roland's grandson. Is that, do they take into the fact, have they looked at the culvert and make sure it's like not clogged, not backing up? I mean,
So the problem with that is it's a public
So-
issue.
so
So
it's like a
these-
DPW thing?
Correct. So
Okay.
I think you guys probably would be willing to work with the town though,
We have to get
and
permission from the DPW to do it.
Okay,
That's the only
so-
problem.
if,
All right, so like if they were willing to work with you guys and to figure out the water flow issue, that would be something that we could probably all work together.
Correct, and that's what I was asking is what happens on the other side? What happens at the head wall side? Is it
Right.
starting to get dug up in that area?
Yeah, it's just starting to erode.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, is it something that, I know, you know, obviously as part of this, is gonna be a fair amount of stone that has to come onto this site.
Right, yeah.
Maybe it's something that we can work with the DPW on, that put some stone on that side of it, because that's what usually typically we would do on an outfall.
Right,
Like
okay.
I know over here, like we're gonna have something similar. On the
Okay.
backside of that basin, we'll have an outfall there. And so typically we would put some stone down such that when the water comes out of the pipe, it doesn't erode your property.
Right, yeah, so just to kind of touch on the fact of what he was saying, I think when they did the road construction,
Yeah,
I
they
don't know
probably
how the
never-
sediment works or whatever, but the drainage flow isn't working properly.
Yeah.
So like they're starting to get a lot of water in the basement.
Yep.
I tried to talk to the DPW myself, I'm having a tough time with it. That's-
Makes
I
sense,
guess-
and that's, I know they have a new director now too, so I know maybe we can get some words with Alan, I'm not sure.
All right,
You know, I know Alan pretty well, you know, well enough that we can have that conversation.
okay.
And that's something that we could definitely work with.
I got it.
yes, sir.
My name is William Rocky.
Mhm.
I live directly across 238 Baldwinville Road. Throughout the years, I've been not having too much trouble with water in my cellar and all that stuff. Was built in, I believe, the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, 40s, yeah.
And was built to accommodate water if
Mhm.
some kind of sump pump or something. But I never had to use a sump pump until they started the digging. Now, I'm worse off than he is. My cellar gets flooded almost every good rainstorm or a rainstorm. I have to put a sump pump in now to keep my cellar from not being flooded. I'm with the same thing with Roland, next door.
Mhm.
Is that something happened? Something got diverted or not diverted? But, like I said, when they started digging and taking the dirt off or something, they changed the flow of the water, and I'm getting 5-6 times as much, a hell of a lot of water in my yard. And my yard not too bad, but I've got the sump pump going 24 hours a day now.
Mhm.
And it works every 30 minutes or so. It just fills right back up. There's a stream running underneath my house now.
Yeah, up there too, yeah.
I got a pipe about this big and don't accommodate it.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
I don't know what can be done about it or not, and
I'm gonna hold on for one moment. I'm just gonna let the board address and see if the board has any questions first. And then, once we hit the board, and we might actually talk to the peer review, and then, you know, see if we can get some of your questions addressed first, and then we'll definitely get out to the audience, and everyone's gonna have a chance. And when the board have any questions? Dennis?
Excuse me, the driveway and the exit of route, from Route 2, what's the distance?
From the off-ramp, it's the same, it's in the same location it is now. So we're not moving the the driveway that's there now,
Okay.
we're not moving it.
Okay.
It's staying where it is. All we're doing is we're straightening it out. So it's gonna be the same.
And you don't know what the distance of
I
that
can
is?
tell you right now, yeah. 300 feet.
300 feet? Okay.
Can we, assuming we get some more questions about the water flow and everything, I mean, there's two things, right? One, the project's not done, so we're in process. So the whole theory here is that these guys are gonna present to us, how it's gonna be done and be better than it was before they started. That's the mandate that they have to do. But two, is there any reason we couldn't condition something to, if Alan's willing to work with us, to put in a catch basin on the other side as part of the project, if they're willing to do it, you know, just
Absolutely,
to
I'm
be
sure
good,
that's-
good neighbors here
Yeah.
and be 100% where that water comes out, it's actually getting dissipated.
Right, if they're gonna be doing all that work, I'm sure that we definitely,
I'm okay with it,
Yeah, that's something you would consider if we could engineer that other end of it, and you would include it, yeah, okay.
Frank is a DPW issue.
Yeah, but I understand when you slip the coming from
oh, absolutely.
Well, seems gonna be a salvage yard. You're gonna have any oil traps or gas traps of water leaving there?
Yeah, and so that's what the water quality units out of the basins are for. And so they're gonna act as the same type of deal. So we'll go through into the basin first, detention basins, and then we'll go into the water quality. And I know I gave some literature to Carol on that, so.
I mean, you got traps to catch the water, the oil and gas?
Yes.
That floats. That's gonna float off the top, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So inside
Oils
the,
and
it's instead of a catch basin.
Well, I understand.
So it's more of a mechanical separator. It's a lot different than just a catch basin where it goes through the grates and then comes out of the pipe with just a little hood on it. There's more of a mechanics to it where it comes in. It's supposed to give that Technic type swirl to it, go through it, through a hole in basically a plate in the middle of the structure. We'll go through it, come in through a couple like baffles or so forth, and then come back out. It's not on there, but I have the literature if you want it.
Who's, next question, who's gonna maintain them? The owners or
The owner.
town of
The owner. It's a private thing. So part of the operation and maintenance plan that I submitted with the application, states in that the owner is responsible for the maintenance of this. And that was part of the conditions that you have to obviously submit that stuff, as part of the application. But Charlie has the literature on that device. Let's take a look at it.
Keep in mind too,
You're
there's
smarter than I
no,
am.
I know they are.
Okay.
there's no,
There's no
dismantling going on.
Piece.
No one's working on the vehicles. They come in whole, they leave whole. There's no,
Yeah, but I think it's kinda hard to get 100 cars coming in and leaving without getting a drop of oil. I mean,
no, I understand. I just didn't know if you know, there's no, it's not like a salvage yard.
yeah, not crushing, no, I know what you mean.
is this brand new cars?
No, it'd be used cars that were involved in a car accident.
Okay, so anything that's been in an accident's gonna have fluids leaking out, and you got a
My car
gravel
leaks my
bottom,
driveway.
you got a gravel driveway. The whole area is gravel. And what, oil, the antifreeze, all of that's gonna be inside of the gravel. And every time you have a rain, it's gonna wash out, it's gonna go to the siltation. Anything to the back, I'm worried about the back one, because I live on LIII Road, and there's a brook, and the whole bottom from Route 2 to Baptist Common is swamp. And there's one brook, and it all goes out right next to my house.
Yep.
And all these fluids are coming towards me and my well.
Yep.
And everybody else's well on that side.
We'll get to that. Hang on, we'll get to everybody. Anybody else on the board? Dennis?
How much of the surface is gonna be blacktop?
There's no blacktop.
None at all?
The only
The driveway coming in and probably the small parking lot that he has at the front.
21 spaces. Yeah, so
23 acres of gravel.
18.
You said these devices, excuse me, these devices, are they gonna be monitored from
Yep,
out?
and so in the maintenance report that I submitted, it's supposed to be looked at twice a year.
By
Once in the
who?
spring, once in the fall, by whoever they hired to do the maintenance.
It'd be
on
an
site.
independent,
Correct.
okay.
And then, as part of that, there's a required or a recommended maintenance program with regards to the depth of sediment in the bottom of those. Once that sediment gets to a certain height, then they come in with like a vac truck and it'll vac them out, and then it'll clean them out. But they can't use a claw like you see with the catch basins, because the way they're constructed, you need a vacuum truck to clean those out.
Christoph?
It's probably a stupid question, but why is this a special permit if it's in the commercial? What is it in our zoning that makes it?
It's just the way your zoning bylaw was written, that certain uses were under a special
Special
permit
permit, yeah.
by the planning board, instead of just a.
Right.
In any of our.
Any of our zones.
I think some of the stuff is so that we
Some
can
of it
actually
is
have
in
this.
any of them, okay.
Right, so I think
Alright, okay.
we can actually have this review. If it was a by right, then we wouldn't have as much.
Right, but I was just thinking the majority of everything is in a commercial zone by right.
Yep.
But okay, so we flagged a few things, all right. Thank you.
Excuse me, could I ask one more question?
Sure, go for it.
I was looking at the old warrant article from back in 2006, and there's a section under use allowed by right in the CI district, and it has excluding salvage materials in brackets. Now, this would be, these vehicles are salvage, aren't they?
Is that a by right or?
It's in the by right.
Right.
Because it says lumber yard, contractor's yard, building trade supplier, other open air establishment at a minimum of 20,000 square feet in building size, not stated elsewhere herein for the storage, distribution, or sale at wholesale or retail of materials, excluding salvage materials.
So
That's
that would,
merchandise.
so that's a by, right, so that's why they're here for the special permit, because if that was, something else that's by right, they can come in and just, basically set up shop and go for it. Because it's,
Excluding that, though.
but that's a by right, this is a special permit. So they can come in and ask for a special permit, so that we can go through the process and, see what
This,
needs to be
this
done.
allows that their engineer and our engineer to make sure that all the protections that you're talking about, grease and oils and gravel and water flow, are taken care of.
And siltation bales already
All
around,
that
right?
stuff.
Are they around it now?
I have not, just got
Construction's
this.
already under, it's going.
Nothing around here.
Can I just
Yes,
touch
sir.
base on the special permit part of it?
Sure.
So, we didn't just say we need a special permit, the building inspector actually issued a letter on November 1st, that I believe the planning board probably has a copy in their record somewheres, but that says that we need a special permit for this use. We didn't, we didn't interpret it ourselves, we went to the building inspector and
Okay.
asked him to let us know what permit we needed with regards to that, cause we, under the same thing, we weren't sure because the language is a little bit vague in
Okay.
the zoning bylaw, so we asked him to look at.
So he did weigh in on that and
He
say that
issued-
was
he
special
issued a
permit.
letter
Also-
November 1st.
Ceased construction,
Yeah.
correct? Until we get this straightened out.
Dennis?
I can't Dennis O'Brien, I can't understand if this place is all gravel.
Yep.
How can you contain the fluids from these vehicles?
You can't.
You can't, there's no way you can do it. It's impossible.
We're not talking like loose gravel, we're talking compacted gravel, we're not talking,
No matter what it is, it's gonna seep into the ground.
Yes, sir.
If I may, my name is Paul Gianetti, represent Dan. And the vehicles that are brought to this site have been in existence for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks after the accident. They're not brought immediately. By the time the insurance company settles the issue, by the time the insurance auto auctions buys the vehicles, there's a period of almost 1 month. So this is not that they're towed from an accident scene directly to the site. there is that gap period, and those fluids mostly have drained from those vehicles during that gap period.
I disagree. There's gonna be still some fluids in the vehicle that can leak out.
So the engineers that do this for a living will,
I just want an answer, how can they stop this fluid if it's going to the gravel to contain it?
Blacktop, I understand that, yeah.
But you can't, how can you contain oil or antifreeze or transmit fluid if it sinks in the gravel? How can you contain that?
Yes,
I
Frank.
think he already answered the question. You're gonna put a gas traps, oil traps to catch any of that
But
oil.
all over the whole area, you're gonna have something over the whole area?
The water's gonna flow one direction.
And we're not, again, we're not just talking 2 inches of compacted gravel either, we're talking over a foot of compacted gravel at
You
least.
still,
right?
you can't cover that whole area.
Okay, well, actually, I'd like to hear from our,
Let's hear from our engineer.
I was gonna say, I'd like to hear from our engineer.
On a large site like this, they actually recommend either a compact gravel or porous pavement, and either one of them's gonna have some infiltration capacity. I'm sorry, I'm Mark Pimarini, I'm the peer review engineer. So I mean, it's actually recommended by DEP, when you have a large site like this, you want more of an infiltrative soil. But again, it's gonna flow down, they have actually swales along the edges, we have extended detention basins and the treatment units, so, I mean, even a parking lot, you're gonna get some leaking of oil, so that'll go to these, if it was all pavement, it was the same thing. You know, it would go to the swales, it would go to the, so I don't think you have an issue with into the groundwater. They also did depots, and the depots show the soils aren't good for infiltration, they're really poor soils for
Are you-
infiltration, so.
You taking it all off? You're gonna go right down to hard pan or so,
No.
or to a
Just for
clay
the-
to get, so it will drain? Right now, it's all like of a peat.
Yeah,
I
well,
saw
they're
when
gonna
they were
take off
pulling
the top,
roots.
I
Yeah, we'll
assume,
take the top and the sub off, but then they'll,
You're going quite a ways down. You're gonna
12
take
inches
off.
down.
How much?
about 12 to
Yeah,
15
they're not-
inches down. But
Again,
then they're gonna
I-
bring in 12 to 15 inches of material
I
back
saw
off
when they
the side.
started taking out some of the roots a couple, back, 5 years ago. And they started to pull, and you have roots that go 2 feet, 3 feet,
But you're talking.
4 feet, and
two different
into that
things.
muck.
Yeah, if we're talking trees and stuff like that, yeah, you're gonna remove the roots and stuff like that, but
There was big,
Now, Wes, you were talking about, what's the contour of the land? Is it,
So right here is where the break point is, where the high point is. So all of runoff right now flows off to the west or the front of the site.
okay,
Um,
and whereabouts,
A portion of this kind of flow off to the swale, to this catch basin, to the left of the house, the first house that we were talking about. And then there's a portion of this that kind of leads to these two catch basins that come in between the two houses. And then there's, like I said, the other catch basin that's off to the northwest corner that collects the runoff from this area here.
now, the car storage, how much of that is going to be over on the other side of,
So we left the high point basically in the same spot it is now.
Okay.
We had talked about trying to flop some of the material around, but to do that, and because of the groundwater depth and also because of ledge depth out here, there's really not a lot we can do with regards to, moving material around, because then we're gonna get into groundwater issues.
so at this point, pretty much everything will be stored on this side of the high point?
The way it is now, the high point runs in here, the high point proposed is basically mimicked.
But there is still going to be
So,
one of whatever the fancy little thing is, on the other side as well?
They're on every one of the basins. And
Yeah,
so we have
okay.
one here, on the outlet on the basin here, there's 2 outlets out of this basin here. We have one of those on each of the outlets, and then on this one, there's 1 outlet, and we have one of those on that outlet. So there's 4 total on the property.
Now, are these industry standard stuff, I mean, is it,
Oh, yeah. I've used those before on sites that I've designed. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones now.
Okay.
But that is one of the ones we use.
it is?
And they're not, Massachusetts is not the only state that uses them, they're all over the place.
Yes, Dennis?
Does the state aware of what you guys are doing there by Route 2?
Yep, so all this is out of basically their jurisdiction, because the layout of the Route 2 ends here. And so any of the access points.
I'm talking about back on Route 2.
Yeah, we're not touching their property.
but anything going across the street is Quabbin watershed.
Right.
So any oils or any kind of fluids going there and pollutant is gonna drain down towards the Quabbin.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, there
That
are certain
we-
requirements that the state has, and your stormwater management bylaw requires those standards. So even though we're not going to the Conservation Commission, we're still required to meet those standards.
Well, that's part of what we're going through and that's why we do the stormwater management, to ensure and to see if anything is there, to make sure that there are, safeguards in place to ensure that that doesn't actually happen. None of us wanna be polluting,
Well,
we'd like to send a lot of stuff to Boston, but not that.
I get a little upset because you have the meeting after you already started the construction. You've already got a lot of bare land there with water rushing over it, and there's no siltation bales, there's nothing to catch the mud right now from going into the wetlands, going towards Roland's house, either way, and coming downhill. So right now,
There was some question of whether or not it required a special permit. I think that's why.
It's also.
any kind of a construction, I would assume is gonna have some kind of siltation devices in place before you start.
Yeah, but Mr. Ben Bennett, we didn't do the construction, that's not, we're here when it gets flagged by the building permit the building department to say, hey, you need a special permit, then it comes before us, and then we can help to put these things in place.
2 months ago, I came to the last, meeting, and I asked specifically because you had something on the warrant, a meeting for changing residential to commercial. And I asked specifically, anything being done on that property right there? And I was told there was nothing going on in that, and 2 weeks later, there was work on it.
I don't believe we're changing anything with the zoning on that, are we?
That was the zoning article, and it was
Yeah, that was
actually
the
further
zoning
down,
article,
it was
but
further down the road.
But I did ask specifically, even though it was not under what you were doing at the time.
This is the first
Right,
time,
we-
this
we
is the
just-
first
this
time
is
we're hearing
just-
of this.
To
This
us.
is the first time
Okay.
we've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you weren't here at that meeting. I know Mr. Rich was, and a couple others were.
We weren't aware of it at that time either,
Yeah,
so.
and then when I see construction going on, and I know there's no I don't see any siltation, to catch any of the silt right now. And it's
And I do
it
believe
gets
that's
pretty
why
wet.
it was, that the town had stepped in, and I think that's why things had stopped. And, now, we're ensuring that the waste, the stormwater management and all that is, in place
Yeah.
to ensure that that is all taken care of.
Because every year I do get flooded pretty much with the one brook that empties that whole swamp. And it comes right behind my house and into between the houses. And to drain that swamp, there's only a very narrow culvert and an old dam that washed out in 38.
No.
And it goes through this one spot. So everything builds up and then flows through.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is, the new owners here, right? This is somebody previously somebody had owned this property before. Am I correct on that?
We bought this in October, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they bought it in October. Anything before then was.
Right. So if I'm not mistaken, somebody had done a lot of clear cutting up there, and it was under the guise of agriculture, if I'm not
Agriculture,
mistaken.
yes.
Which so it had, was it 1 acre, 2 acres?
1 acre.
1 acre. So anytime somebody disturbs more than 1 acre, it triggers the flag of stormwater management.
Yeah.
The previous owners had gone through and, they said, I don't know I believe it was strawberries or something, they said they were gonna be planting there.
Strawberries, I think.
And so they cleared all the land. So I'm assuming for the last few years, these issues have probably been building up. At this point now, with construction, it seems like this will remedy a lot of those problems.
Clear cutting is not,
Correct, but
2 acres of open, is gonna have a lot of water on it.
right, but I'm not sure when that happened, but that was quite a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. Christoph?
Do we hear from Wes on that particular issue? Is there any reason that right away, we couldn't stabilize around the site?
Nope, now
With
that we
silt
have.
fencing and et cetera?
Yeah, so now that we have I think a program in place that at least we and the peer review engineer are comfortable with, now at least we can say everything that's gonna be where it's gonna be, we can start putting that stuff up, yes.
Because that's gonna help with some of these concerns right off the bat. And then, do we have a list from our peer review that we're looking at?
Actually, it's funny, I was just gonna grab that stuff too.
Can we go through that together?
Yeah, do you have that too?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read through it?
Go for it. You don't have to read verbatim, just kinda like
Alright.
hit the topics
I'll
and
go through
let
the
us know what.
I'll go through the comments.
We have a copy of this in our packet.
Is there a copy?
Okay, that's all right.
All right, I got, I received the plans, and I went through my first few comments are just, again, on the main, permits that you need, a special permit for use. I saw that you have a large piece of property, in a, I know it's commercial and it's right access to Route 2, so in my opinion, that's a good spot for that use. They're gonna need a NPDES permit, which is just typical. I'm just stating it so that
Now, what is that?
the National Pollution Discharge
Oh,
Elimination
okay.
System permit, so they'll need to get that
Okay.
through EPA.
So that will be regulated as well?
Correct, exactly. I mean, the same stormwater that they're doing now, the
Okay.
stormwater, the basins, the swales, will be reviewed by the NPDES. You still need, even though you're not accessing Route 2, you still need an access permit. Whenever you're building on a lot that's right next to the highway layout, they want an access
Okay,
permit.
so they still will be,
You'll have to do that.
okay.
Then I went through the site plans, I had Wes put the snow storage areas shown, I'm just telling you, he addressed all these, he showed the snow storage on the plans. I asked for, on the original plans I got, and I didn't see any, where the sewage was going sanitary, where the well, I didn't know if it was well or septic,
Mhm.
so they addressed
It's
that.
all, yeah,
Yeah, they addressed it showing the sewer line.
it's all
and the
municipal,
water
correct?
line.
Yep.
I asked about the landscaping, they did address the landscaping. I also asked for a zoning block, which would show that they meet all the zoning requirements, and they added that to the plans. Everything's been met. I asked for a parking block, which shows that they have the required parking. They only need 3, but they have 20. They did, the first set of plans, the detail sheets, they hadn't had them yet, so I didn't have those, but they got me those and I reviewed them a second time. Some of the contour elevations were upside down, I just asked them to fix that. The drainage calc report, I went through that. I asked for the TSS removal, which we talked about with the basins and the stormwater treatment. I asked them just to show me what percentage treatment they get. They have to have over 80%,
Okay.
and they meet that. I asked for the operation and maintenance plan. It wasn't in the first round. He got me that. He's tonight. The deep hole test I reviewed that I talked about already. Soils. The soils aren't good for recharge, so this is gonna run off. To the basins, to the treatment unit. Let's see. I
Which
asked-
is actually, it's incorrect, so instead of, so basically what you're saying is, the water will now run off into the basins rather than permeating into the
The
soil.
soil's not good soil. There's C soils on the map, C soil, they go from A, B, C, D, the soils.
Okay.
A and B are good infiltration soils, C and D's are not. They're C soils, but when they did the deep holes, it's even worse, even looks worse than a C soil, from
Okay.
so it's gonna run off more than.
So it'll actually act more like you were saying with like the asphalt, almost like, so
Gonna
rather than
run off
doing
more
like
than
a
it's gonna infiltrate.
gravel where it's gonna run through, it's gonna
Right.
run more into the basins?
Stormwater treatment.
Okay.
basins, right.
Okay.
And I just flagged that it was a land use with, like, the DEP stormwater regs say land uses with higher potential pollutant loads, because you're storing auto vehicles, it is.
Mhm.
But the best management practices that they're using with the basins and the treatment units, they meet those standards.
Okay.
So that's fine. He provided me a detail of the extended detention basin outlet structures, there just wasn't an outlet structure detail, he put that on the plans.
Okay.
One of the subcatchments, the time of concentration, there was a little error there, but he fixed that for me on the new drainage calcs. And the last thing was on, the cover, they're not gonna be, it's gonna be a gravel site, but they're not gonna be, it'll probably start growing grasses, and that's what I asked about. So the post development, there'll be some grasses there too, which is good. One of the treatment units in, the DEP regs is a vegetated filter, which is usually a grass filter around the site. So if the site's not gonna be, if some grass is gonna be coming up, that's gonna help filter that soil as well,
Okay.
filter the water. And that was it.
Okay.
You have questions, Charlie?
Sure.
Is there a lighting plan, and is there gonna be, is there gonna be lights up all over this, or?
So that was one of the things we had talked about, depending on who the tenant's gonna be, the light and the layout of the vehicles could change. One of the things that we are willing to make the statement though is that any lighting on here will be dark sky compliant and will not spill off their property. But the actual locations of light poles is tough to pin down right this second until they know exactly who the tenant is. Obviously, we show a square footage of gravel, but if the tenants, there's a couple different people right now that they're looking to be the tenants or the leasees of the property. Until they know exactly who that's gonna be and actually how they want their actual layout to be with regards to how they store their cars, they don't wanna get pinned to light pole locations.
could we condition the project so that?
And we could
that
easily
we get to.
review
weigh
that
in?
plan. Yeah, that's fine. We have,
Just 'cause I know it's a good place for a commercial place of business, but there also are, there are also residences right there.
Oh, and we have no
I think
no
that would
issue
be
with
a
that.
big
Yeah.
factor for some.
And that was something that actually we talked about yesterday about planning again, because that was something that, I know one of the things too, that they'll obviously have, they wanna make sure they have light poles is for their security system.
Sure.
That's one of the big things, they wanna make sure they have the security system in place, but again, it's,
Well, I'm gonna follow up to your question as well. So on the, I guess the northern side, how close is the next neighbor on that side?
it's the vacant property, it's the Kimmelinen, family that owns that piece of property next door. So how many acres in?
I think it's like 80 acres.
That are, right to the
Oh, okay,
north.
that's right, there's, okay.
Is that a vacant property that the Kimmelinen, so.
Okay.
Across the street, obviously, we have the residences across the street, but then.
And how about, can you show us where the snow plan
And
is?
so,
And tell us what kind of fence you're thinking of putting up?
and so right now, we call for a chain link fence. I know some of the things that we were talking about with regards to the front of the property is maybe put a stockade fence up or something like that in the front of the property, so you can't see into the property. Cause like I said, we were trying to look at where we can make some vegetative screening in. We couldn't, the way the base is set up and everything like that, we were looking at maybe doing a solid stockade fence in the front of the property. But the rest of it would be like a chain link security fence, because we're not, really affecting anybody else at all.
Sure.
Again, along the Route 2 side, we're gonna landscape along that fence anyways to kind of break up the fence there. What was the?
The snow.
Oh, snow storage. And so we sow snow storage along the exterior of the property, and that was one of the things that, as the, obviously winter season comes, some of their storage availability will be decreased if there's huge amounts of snow.
Sure.
But as cars come on and off the property, they'll have to, maneuver around the amount of snow that they have and maybe have less vehicles on the property if it becomes an issue. I know, 3 or 4 years ago, when we had all that snow, obviously, they'd have less availability for
Right.
parking on the property. But we do have some locations around the exterior of the property that, we can park some, put some snow.
Now, how about typical hours of operation?
Yeah, that was my other question.
So what we would request is a 7 to 5 window. It's typically less than that, but we would ask for that 7 to 5 window. Like I said, just because there's not a set leasee in the.
Yeah. I just wondering about midnight truck delivery, stuff like that. It's not
Okay,
gonna be
so
like in and out, just so normal.
Yeah, normal business hours. Truck deliveries, we were talking until 10 was the latest, but it would be like one single truck where they have the code to get into the gate to drop off a vehicle or whatever and then leave. So it wasn't like a
Yeah, it's not gonna be
consistent
no
midnight
public.
deliveries or anything like that. And so that's where.
Is that six days a week or 5 days a week?
Monday through Friday.
5 days a
And I
week?
think you're.
They do some Saturday operations on occasion though. I mean, if it's busy, like you said, in the winter, if there's large storms and they have to shuffle cars around, snow around, that type of thing.
Better to get that
But
in
they
now.
don't wanna be open. They want it to be 8 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Correct, I think your regulations even restrict not that it's necessarily, again, we wanna differentiate between an auto salvage, but I think the regulations
Yeah.
state something like 11 to 7, it can't be
Okay, I just wasn't,
operational.
yeah,
We're
that
not
was just
looking-
I was wondering about shipments and stuff like that, and, okay.
Even that we thought was kind of a.
Dennis?
Excuse me, sorry, I didn't get the names of the two gentlemen here who were presenting the project, but one of you said that there wasn't going to be any disassembling of vehicles.
No.
And yet the gentleman beside you said you were going to be bringing in wrecks, which have sat there for several days. I'm not sure what.
There'll be cars that were involved in a motor vehicle accident, and
Yeah.
they'll come in that way, and they'll leave the same way they came in. There's no processing of the vehicles. It's just really a holding pen for somebody else to buy them.
By the wrecks.
Yeah.
Really?
So they won't be reconditioned there.
Not a big
No,
business.
Yeah, no.
no.
Sold the same.
My point was that the fluids from an accident would drain out before the vehicles reach the site.
Right, but hard to imagine what people would be looking to buy wrecks for, but.
No, it's like
There are
one of the
options.
insurance companies that need a place to bring their vehicles, like Commerce Insurance is one of the big tenants, customers, so when
This
Commerce
is strictly
owns a
storage,
car,
strictly storage.
yeah.
Mr. Clerk?
It sounds to me like there's gonna be an awful lot of noise there. Is that true or not?
No, I'd say no.
I mean, that house isn't that far away from the road. And right across the street is where your driveway starts. How are they gonna turn around there? They're gonna back it in?
No, the driveway's designed so they can pull right in. The gate doesn't start until up here, so they'll have room to pull in, open the gate if the gate's closed, if it's not during their usual operating hours. They pull into this area here without an area for the trucks to be able to turn in and out of, drop the vehicles off, and then if the vehicles aren't being stored up here, they'll leave them in here in the waiting area, and then they'll move it up into the storage area. But that's the way the operation was set up, so they can get the trucks right off. And then once the trucks drop off the vehicles, they'll come right back out and be able to maneuver on the site. And that's why even the grading we show on there was meant to be able for the truck traffic to be able to move in and out of the site, at least in that area.
If the vehicles are not operational, how do you, once you get them off the truck, how do you then move them around?
A loader with forks.
How many vehicles we talking at one time?
They come in and out on a truck? What'd you say?
No, how many vehicles are
In
gonna be
storage?
stored at any one time?
Right now we
100,
show.
200,
Right now
300?
we show thousands. We show what, 3,000? I think it was 2,000.
How many?
3,000 vehicles at the max they can store.
3,000 on that? And it's gonna be expanding very quickly over the berm, or over the.
Is that
That's the
is
current,
that
the current
within-
design is
No, the
3,000.
current design, we can locate 3,000 vehicles on there.
Evidently, those trucks will be running in and out every
Yeah.
hour a day, right? In and out, in and
No,
out.
what do you usually see? Five trucks a day at the most, right? What are you talking, right?
No, it would probably be more like 10 to 15,
Okay, 10.
yeah. I mean, it's more than that.
But it's over 7 to 8 hour period, so it's not.
10.
Some of them are 8, 9 car haulers,
Yeah.
you know.
Dennis?
Are there any other facilities in this area similar to what you're looking to operate?
One in Taunton, in Billerica, Shirley, no, they moved to Shirley. There was one in Lancaster, they've since moved. Salem, New Hampshire, West Warren is, Copart has a large facility in West Warren. Yeah, there's a bunch around. There's more than, probably a lot more than you think, you know?
Okay.
Anybody else on the board?
I had a quick question,
Yes.
think of it. Where exactly are the cars gonna be coming from? Are they gonna be coming from New Hampshire and all over the place, or like, are they coming from one specific spot, or where
No,
do you
it's
usually
probably
get them from?
all over, Massachusetts, mainly Massachusetts, probably some New Hampshire.
So New Hampshire?
Yeah.
So I was just thinking from what my grandfather said about the noise, like, so you're gonna have like major, like, car carriers coming down the road, like, as far as like Jake breaks and stuff go? Like, if you get like a shipment at like 10 at night, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you every once in a while.
I think every once
He
in a
has
while,
to- Right, so he's Jake break up the road, the whole neighborhood's gonna wake up, right? So like, I don't know like how that would.
Well, I would
Right,
assume
touch
most of
on
the
that.
traffic's gonna come right off of Route 2.
Right, but
Not
that's
New
what I was
Hampshire.
asking. Yeah, so if you're coming
Depends
from
on
New
what part of New
Hampshire,
Hampshire.
so if you're Jaking, you know, so I don't know
Yeah,
like
but
how
you
that.
can't hear them down there. They're in the valley, so to speak.
I was just
The
curious to just.
No, I
see
just meant
what
the traffic coming off of Route 2.
Yeah.
Right at this site.
Well, that's why I asked the hours
Yeah,
of
but right
operation,
there,
because,
I mean, as soon as you get off, you.
well, that's, you know, because I mean, if it was something that was gonna be going, if they were gonna have deliveries, you know, all night long, then, you know, that would be, I think, a major concern of, you know.
There's a lot of traffic already there.
Yeah, so, I mean, would that be something that you would have to go through the DPW to do, or like, what's the, because I'd see like no Jake signs, you know, in certain neighborhoods. I mean, that might be something to maybe just think about, I don't know, if people are
Yeah,
concerned
but
about
the selectmen, I
noise.
think, would have to, selectmen usually are the sign guys.
Right.
It'd be public safety department.
Not a bad idea.
Public safety, okay.
This is using it in order to.
They have those in Bolton, no use of engine brakes.
Yeah, that's just how I was thinking about the noise, you know, just to kind of
That's
ease
actually,
people, I guess.
that's, you know what?
I don't know what the.
It's funny, that was actually, somebody just brought up a good point about a backup alarm.
Yeah.
So, if the hours of operation, you know, 10 o'clock at night to me is still pretty early, but I know some people around here don't think so.
I gotta be honest with you, that's late to me too.
So maybe that's something we can kind of look at and address, just because, again, if you do have a loader with backup alarm, and I guess another question, well,
There'd be no loader operation at nighttime.
okay, so just the truck coming in.
It would be the truck unloading the vehicle, if anything, after the place closed.
Okay,
It'd
so
be-
just the trucks
It'd be
coming
the
in.
single guy taking the vehicle off with his truck and then leaving. It would not be any loader operation.
Okay.
So we could condition that, that would be okay? To condition that?
Yeah, I think the only bad thing about a condition, if there was another Hurricane Sandy or a massive catastrophe where they had to operate, and it's almost out of their control when there's accidents and a lot of them, you gotta handle the material.
Sure.
Just as a bystander, of course, you gotta keep in mind, it's still, it is a commercial industrial zone. I mean, we don't, as a town, have any restrictions on hours. They could, by law, by right, ask for 24 hours a day. So I just want the board to keep that in mind. We don't have a separate bylaw restricting hours, especially in our commercial industrial zones. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the board?
I don't know, we have a lot to look over.
So I guess I just wanted to go back to, for just one, so they still need to file a DEP, so they will be going through
Well,
EPA,
NIPDES.
EPA, thank you. Yeah, EPA, thank you.
We already
Thank you.
did.
That's a federal permit.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so there will be, you know,
I mean, it sounds like.
But that's after we approve this.
correct, but I just wanted to make sure that there was gonna be another,
Yeah, we approve it,
And technically, those you can
Close it,
do it, as
approve
long as
it.
you do it right before you start work.
okay.
close it, approve it, then they have an approved special permit to go to the other committees with.
Yep, yeah.
Did conservation sign off on all of this, even the wetlands areas that
They don't have to.
are there, and set
Non-jurisdictional.
some conditions?
All the work is outside the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands. The Conservation Commission handles from, out of their jurisdiction, they handle from the wetland line to 100 feet, and they're outside that. They're not doing any work in the 100-foot.
Even though there's some material that's going into the wetland from your property?
Yeah, all the work is outside. That's what the NIPDES permit kind of covers, is that outflow.
Stuff
You're talking
going
about
out
the
is gonna be
outflow, yeah.
filtered.
About 15 or 16 of the acres, I bet you was already clear cut. Clear to the knoll? Is it clear to the knoll?
It was already cut, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, had the original.
The trees were
landowner-
cut up there, everything had been growing up, I hunted that area in through the back there. It's just that lately, everything is now bare ground and it's all
Right.
uprooted and the erosion can take place
Right.
and with no siltation.
Well, and that's why, the original owner, had they come to us when they were doing that, we would have, had a lot of this stuff addressed, and there would have been, things put in place to
Well,
stop that.
they found that the soil was not suitable, and so they just backed off. They didn't pull the stumps, and they just left it as just brush. So there was no erosion then, because basically they didn't really do much,
Well, the stumps
except
are
cut the
still
tree.
there.
The stumps is,
So, did anybody indicate how many employees would be?
I'd say to be close to 15
15,
employees on to start.
15?
If things go well, I envision they'll be back in front of the planning board for a bigger building, in the future. And maybe more employees at that time, but we'd be back in here for that, at that point,
Anybody else on the board? Any other questions? Comments?
Very well covered. The only thing I have to say is I hope it is all right in the future. There's always something happening that people promise and goes down the drain after a while.
Well, that's what we're here to try to make sure that doesn't happen. That's why we have the,
I hope so.
the reviews in place and, have the
I've
engineers do
been
their
there
job.
I've been there for 50 years, over 50 years.
I have just one question, sir, and I know I've already said it, but, there's no way, I don't care what they do to that vehicle before they get there, something's gonna leak.
There's
And
gas.
it's gonna go into that gravel. And it's gonna seep somewhere, it ain't all gonna go in them little things that they've got, it's gonna seep into the ground.
We have, we have to trust, I'll speak for myself, I have to trust the engineers and the Department of Public Protection from the state, that they have rules and regulations to protect us. I mean, I live in Templeton too, so I don't want Templeton being polluted either, but we have to trust that they have rules and regulations in place that protect us from that. You know,
And that's what the groundwater plan is for.
yeah, I mean.
So that it will, like Wes said, you're gonna bring in 12 to 15 inches of compacted gravel, you're gonna try to minimize all of this percolation, and you're gonna bring it down, it's gonna sheet down, it's gonna go into these drainage swales, and it's gonna be captured by these traps that they have here. So I guess we have to, like John said, we have to, I guess, trust that the engineering is sound engineering, and it's sound engineering practices. I guess my question is, Wes, once everything's installed, they're in charge, they have a maintenance plan, who's the overseeing body that can go in and say, have you done your maintenance this year? Have you had your traps cleaned? Have they been vacuumed out? Have they been looked at? Who's
You're the local authority on that.
the planning board?
You're issuing your stormwater management bylaw permit. So that's part of that, it's basically that umbrella that you guys have. And then from the standpoint of the federal, as part of, at least until the construction is done and really stabilized and
Oh, well,
everything's
right.
growing out there, then
Once
the.
Well, it's under
at least the
construction.
EPA's hands are
Right,
on that point.
right, well, it's under
But-
construction, there are inspection points and bodies that have to
But really,
do their
it's
thing.
your stormwater management.
So we could reach out to them and,
And however
If
you
there was a
envision
concern,
that.
that's
If-
what
if there was a
typically
concern.
triggers it, if there's a concern.
If there was
or
a concern, then it would be the
complaint,
planning
then
board that could
we
go to
in
them and say,
try and say,
we'd like to see your maintenance records, we'd
Yeah,
like to
make
see the
sure
last
it
time you
doesn't-
had these cleaned.
Yeah.
We'd like to make sure that they're still operational. I mean, we're,
And so
not
here-
to be unreasonable, but just to make sure that things are still doing what they should do.
And
Yeah.
we've always been.
Yes.
and I
I've
don't
been
know
on
if
the
I
planning
can-
board for 30 years, never been done.
Well, and just so, if I could, and I don't know if you're gonna say
Yeah.
the same thing, but
You
the
know,
way I
first-
was always told is that the building inspector
Yeah, that's exactly what
is
you're
your,
saying.
your enforcement agent.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the answer I was looking for.
And that's-
So the
Your
building
decision-
inspector is the
Correct.
enforcement agent.
For you
That's
put your
correct, yeah.
decision, you have your regulations, and the building inspector really should be the person that they bring their complaint to, and then he should dole it back basically to the planning board, because you're gonna regulate your own,
Okay,
your own bylaws.
that's the answer I was looking for.
Charlie, just if I may just reiterate what Dennis has said, is that this site will have more protection than all the town roads combined, as far as oil and what leaks on every single town road, state road, anything, every single day with the traffic. Cause where does that go? It runs off into our catch basin,
Yeah.
goes directly into our wetlands,
You're right,
without these sediment oil protection separators. Okay, so keep that in mind.
yeah.
When there's a furniture truck delivering stuff to your yard, Roland, or whatever, the cars that go by here every single day and every single road, when it washes off, why do you think the worst place to ride on a road, on a highway when it's wet is in the middle, if you're on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
It's all oil and gas from dripping all the cars. There isn't any of these on the public highways, which are public roads that dump right into our backyards every single day.
Yeah.
They have more on this site than the town does as a whole.
You know, I gotta take my hat off to some of these guys here, because this town is in desperate need of new
Growth.
items coming into this town, all right? And we are gonna be neighbors, so, and I'm sure if they're my neighbor, I'll take care of my place, and I expect you to take care of your place.
We will.
And that's the way it should be.
Yep.
So, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you get that goddamn water out of there.
well, and again, I think that's one of the things, when, you know, when these, Templeton, we need new businesses, we need something to change.
I've been, 4 years I've been after that.
Yep, yep. And that's the nice thing about, you know, we're here to make sure that the things are done right and done properly to, you know, to not impact the community, you know, in an adverse way. We want to see growth in business, but still, you know, we all live here. We want it to be a good place to live.
Yeah.
So, and again, I mean, Route 2 and Baldwinville Road are, you know, in 2A, we have a lot of highway that we should be taking advantage of and bringing business in,
You
so.
just need an airport now, that's all.
Can we take it from Gardner?
If I can just add on that point, my client at purchase of land is making a substantial investment to put 1 foot of 15 inches of gravel on 20 acres. And do the other work involved here, so he has a commitment to the town. and an investment to protect. So we are going to do the best we can to be a good corporate neighbor. Dan has owned several places, and I've worked with him for years, about 30 years now. And his family does a great job in this business, and I think you'll be happy with what you see in the operation of this facility.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm a late sleeper, so no noise before 10.
Anybody else in the audience?
I have one personal question for that man right there. What's your name?
Wesley?
You any relation to?
Walter and Irene?
No.
Tom Brady?
I had your name on my
I would
mind.
say it was
The movie star, he was on last night on one of those. Matt Damon.
Matt
Yeah,
Damon.
I've heard that before.
Huh?
I've
No?
heard that before.
His cousin, he
Yeah.
said.
Exactly.
He said he wished he was.
We wish I had money.
Exactly, okay. So at this point,
We'll make a motion to close the public hearing, and then we can motion
Yep.
to approve.
Close it?
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, we wanna close it, we can get it through. After we close it.
You close it before you go.
Yeah. Well, there's no need to keep it open, we have everything we need.
because we got the peer review, they went over it, they had reviewed everything. Oh, yeah. We'll continue.
I didn't review that.
That's a weird thing you gotta rush up.
So, and I don't know if there's so just from a protocol perspective, I would close the public hearing because there's no new information to come.
Right.
And then we vote to make a decision based upon the peer reviews.
I mean, I think there's definitely conditions that we're gonna put in there, and I think we should do a conditional, but actually, I have a question. Actually, I'm gonna pose this to you. So we actually have to vote on the stormwater?
All three of them separately, yes.
Right.
Yes, please. Yeah. And just, at least from the standpoint of,
I mean, it's just sitting there doing nothing now.
what they're trying to do, the biggest one at least they vote on would be the stormwater.
Something else, but
Because
You're
if
right.
Who's knocking on our door?
yeah, I know.
I started a job.
Walmart may
So
come
we
in
probably could,
tomorrow.
we probably could vote on the
I started
stormwater,
a job tomorrow.
and then, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be some conditions on the others,
Right.
so maybe we
You
can
get away with it.
vote on stormwater.
I make a
Congratulations.
motion that we close the public hearing.
Here, a second?
I'll second it.
All, any discussion?
What's that?
We're gonna close the public hearing. All in favor?
All right.
Public hearing has been closed.
Do we need to make a motion on all three of these?
We should do them separately, but I think, because we're gonna have conditions, I think I think stormwater, for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, should be a fairly easy one. I think the rest, we're gonna have some conditions for, lighting and a few other things that we can kind of work on. So, with that, how's this gonna work?
Well, that's the biggest one you need is the special, you need the stormwater, so you can continue work.
Stormwater is really what's really
Holding up the work.
holding up Mr. Worley's project. Trying to get the special permit, the conditions, contingent of the conditions in your vote, because you can't leave it open, you can't have both, so to speak. Not speaking to your brand.
No, you're right.
So you can do stormwater first,
Yeah. I think the only conditions we're talking about is
lighting plan. Sorry.
Yeah, the lighting plan, the hours of operation, the no loader, well, we maybe don't wanna put the no loaders in after dark, it's truly an exception. What was that?
Siltation,
So-
gotta be all done.
Yeah,
So-
That's
that
part
must-
of
that
it.
must
It's
be
shown on the
shown.
plan.
Yeah.
That's stormwater.
It's shown on the plan.
It's on the plans already.
Chris,
And I'm not sure if we wanna really,
hours of operation for the loaders, they have snow removal, could be at night, like any other
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So I just caution the board from stepping on their hands and nobody else's in towns. As far as hours for snow removal,
if
whatever.
there's a noise complaint, that can always be handled after.
What
I
about
mean,
the
really.
drainage conditions? I know some of it's the town's responsibility, but we need to,
Well, I believe the applicant, though, will be working with, the highway department to address some of those concerns for, you know, the neighbors across the street, or the butters across the street.
But we only condition.
We can't
what com-
condition.
We can't condition
We're-
it, but I think
As long as the plan
in good
shows
faith,
that
we
what
can
is
ask
going out
Right.
is the same.
Less than, shows less than.
Less than
He
is-
said less than, yeah.
Yeah.
Less
I
than.
mean, if they're coming in and doing all this work, I think they would be willing to probably put a little bit of work into a catch basin or two if need be
Well,
to
you said,
yeah,
you said
improve the,
The loader noise, and I'm okay with it, cause I did it in my place, is you don't hear the loaders running, you hear the backup alarms.
Right.
I think you put the requirement in that whatever's the lowest, there is different backup alarms, isn't there?
Just decibels, yeah.
You can make
We go lower
require
decibels.
the quietest allowed by OSHA, and does make a big difference from the factory ones, so I'm okay with that, cause you don't hear the loaders running, you hear the backup
Backup
alarms,
alarms.
is what drives you nuts, you know?
Right.
It drives me nuts during the day, you know, my own place.
right.
So, we've changed ours to the quiet ones, and they are quiet. You only hear them like when you're behind them, you know, while standing, so.
Right, so let's do the stormwater, let's do the stormwater first, and then we can do this, what is it, 3 of them, what?
Special permit, site plan, site
Right,
plan review.
so which one does the provision, the special permit or the site plan review?
What?
Site plan review.
Okay.
We give it conditions.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve the
Stormwater.
stormwater.
Second it? Second. Do you have any discussion?
He's-
He's second.
He
So-
seconded it, yeah.
Yep. Any discussion on the, all those in favor? Okay. Stormwater passes.
Now special permit, John.
You wanna do a special permit and the provisions, right? I make a motion, we approve the special permit.
Second that.
First and second. Discussion? Do you want to, pass it, with the conditions?
Next one.
No, next one? Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. What do I know?
All those in
I'm here
favor?
because I'm pretty.
All those in favor?
Say,
Say this, Charlie.
all those in favor. Just, I want that all to sink in for a moment.
All those in favor, yeah,
All in
everybody.
favor?
You just can't unsee.
You're on a roll.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we,
yeah, it's all.
approve the site plan,
Site plan review.
Site plan review with a couple conditions about, as the gentleman mentioned, that if they are gonna add lighting, that we get to see the plan before it goes in place and comment on it.
Is it easier for us to, and just correct me if I'm wrong, to, make the motion with conditions that we've discussed?
That we-
And then we can draw up the.
Then
so
we can draw the conditions up.
Can we approve it conditionally?
Go through Mark on that.
Thank you.
Can we,
You
pass this conditionally, so that we can then go, just draw up our language, rather than like voting on it?
have to list the conditions now though upon your motion.
Okay. Okay.
Not the exact,
Not the verbiage,
Well, I
but.
didn't, exactly, my review's set, other than those 3 basic
Exactly,
comments.
exactly, okay, sounds good,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So we were thinking the lighting, we were thinking the backup alarm doing the process as he suggested, I think that's a great one. And unofficially, just that we're gonna try and work with the town to deal with the water on the other side of the street.
And we should also take into consideration.
I think it needs to peer review, engineer.
give it done.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Better than Walmart.
We're all the action on this side of the table tonight, John.
Hey, you guys, like I said, you're on a roll. Okay, well,
I think it's great.
congratulations, good luck.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Right off the highway too. Every time I drive into friggin' Athol, I think to myself, well,
Do we have to vote on minutes?
We close the public hearing.
Oh, you have something
So
else?
we did that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
oh, Cat Harris, yeah.
How would I have to, I'm kinda trying to keep my grandfather kinda informed, how would I go about, as far as like the process goes forward?
Sure.
As far as like the DPW and with, I'm not sure, what's your name, sir?
Sorry, Dan.
Dan.
I'll give you a card, so you can call me too.
Yeah, okay, Noah, nice to meet you.
Noah?
Noah.
Yeah, I do. I'll send them in. We sent it to Clerk.
Yeah, I know, if you wanna,
No,
What's happening, Dennis?
I told him because he has to do that. Some other checks for the advertising. We'll get him specific. Thanks, Mark.
nice meeting you, thank you very much.
I got that.
That's what happened. I'm gonna bring that up.
I don't see.
I didn't vote her out, did you?
No.
How come it says the
Oh,
board?
I take that back. I was reading the minutes.
Hey, well, I don't like this whole situation. Him, and him. It's like the fox watching the chicken.
Guys,
We actually we
we
still
got
have
one
some
more
business.
agenda item we need to deal with.
I got some new business.
Let's get some business going, so. Okay, so we do have what, A&R? Yeah.
Hey, guys,
Gentlemen.
gentlemen,
Noah,
Noah, can you
We're just
guys,
gonna-
we got one more item we have to
we got a
take
few
care of
more
this,
things that we're
gentlemen.
doing.
So if you guys could just move out,
Awesome, so,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you, Wes.
No, we don't wanna throw them out, but we
No,
just
it's
wanna.
just. Good evening. Doing very well, how's it going?
Good, thank you. I'm looking to do, some reconfiguration.
But you know what, you can keep that one right, keep the Mylar over there. We don't wanna touch the Mylar until it's time. We don't wanna mess it up, but we will take these plans.
First of all, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Just separating.
Is that what you're gonna have some paperwork first? You got all the paperwork?
I got a big old sack of paperwork.
You got, okay.
I do.
That's it.
As far as I know, it's a, thinking about the flyer, it's an A&R plan.
You all set, Dennis?
Yeah, he's on.
You guys set?
Carol Harris.
Yep. There's, plenty of frontage, there was 2 lots already anyways before. It's just changing the configuration of them.
So the house is existing on revised lot 1, correct?
Yes.
Right, is that lot 1 and lot 2 dotted line, the separation now? Is this the separation, the 2 new lots, this one and this one, or is it this
No, this,
and this?
this is, this was there were 2 lots. This now will be 1 lot.
Over here, okay.
And that
And so you shrunk down the house lot.
Oh, wait, come here.
Are we in?
I just hear what you're saying.
Yeah, show me
This
this.
is the house here now.
So the lot came.
Oh, I see. This is gonna be all one lot.
This will be 1 lot, this will be 1 lot.
Okay.
Okay, right now, currently it's 3.
Right now, well, they were 4.5 each roughly, originally.
Lots, you mean?
Yeah, 2 lots,
4.5 acres each.
yes.
Oh, I see.
Now, it'll be, one will have 7.5
Acres.
and one is
They're both gonna be conforming
yeah, they have plenty of frontage on both of them.
in size, cause I see this is
Yeah,
Up the top, it
already
is.
1, so it's 1 acre, and this is 1.5 and 7. Okay.
Want to go through the checklist? Okay. All lots abut a qualified way.
Yep.
Yep.
All lots have adequate frontage.
Yep.
Vital access exists to each lot.
Yep.
All lots have adequate acreage. Yep. I've got 4 copies of Form A. I've got copies of A&R stamped. Yep. Copies of descriptions of lot. Yep. Copies of plan. Yep. So, identification of plan by name of owner of record.
Yep.
Statement approval under subdivision.
Yep.
Yep. Zoning classification, yep. New lot, remaining land, frontage, yep. Notice of any decisions by zoning board of appeals, and a name of the butters on plan.
Yep.
Yep. Distance nearest permanent monument. Yep.
Yep.
Location of all existing buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Location of any easement or way. So, $300 fee, correct? Sound right? Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We're looking good. What do we think?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Actually, now I will take the, I still need my other things.
I'm sorry?
That job.
Company's making a
Steal
pretty
that, right?
significant investment this time, buying
That
all
would be
that
12,
property and
correct?
putting all that.
Yeah, I
Remember
just
this
wish
pen's
we
really
had gone
tall.
to that. Something that
No
we-
one's begging.
We do.
School.
Huh?
Yeah.
So
No,
we should- Well, yeah, you,
wow, but nobody's begging to come build here.
you're right.
So-
But that
And
was,
junkyard
that was
dumps.
probably the most prime spot for people to come.
That one work?
You killed it.
And
Have
we're-
all that
and we're
land
gonna put a
down-
junkyard
down
there.
I need
Phillips
a-
and Line,
the-
junkyard,
this- I don't
those
think I would-
LQK sites are pretty nice if you drive through them, drive by them.
Well, if we get our zoning change approved, there'll be more space.
It didn't go through.
I know.
It
but
didn't,
we're-
yeah.
But we're gonna try again, aren't we?
Well, we should.
Yeah, we'll try again on this next one.
Yeah, I just felt it was, could have been used better, but it's,
You have to give it back.
I will. I won't take it from Dennis.
I agree, it would have been nice to have something more
December
service
12th.
space, but it's better than having an
Right.
empty lot.
and
Yeah.
it could,
figure how many
hopefully it
cars
doesn't
they-
ever becomes
3,000
an
cars,
unsightly
that's a lot of
place,
cars.
but, and once it's there,
Start right at the
that,
top.
that lot's gonna be
I
pretty
think a
much
lot of those, I don't
contaminated.
give a shit.
Yeah,
the
let me,
same.
yeah.
Bring 3,000 cars there.
And,
I'll hear them at my house.
and it's gonna be contaminated after that.
He says
Oh,
no.
that's the other thing, we should have had them put a bond, or something on it for cleanup.
I don't know, but can we?
Hmm?
We can. It's not part of our bylaws. We have to stay within that structure.
I do have one question, we can still have discussion, Rick. Are we
Oh, you
allowed-
close the meeting, you shouldn't have closed.
That's why we should have,
Should never close a meeting instantly, the same day.
we should have kept it
No,
open for.
I don't mean, I don't mean. I
Well,
don't-
they're not bringing
no,
any
I don't mean
information.
about that, I just mean amongst ourselves. What Kirk said about the hours of operation, is that true? We've conditioned hours of operation before.
For everybody else, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a special permit, we can put
But not
hours
if
of
it's,
operation
but I
in
thought
there.
if it was in commercial, that's why we don't. Right, cause like cement paper, 24/7.
Sure, but
But I think what Kirk was saying is we just had to be careful, if we're gonna condition the hours of operation, we need to exclude snow removal. Because snow removal, I mean, they're gonna have to plow the lot sometimes at
that's
night.
fine.
The guy's got 50 acres.
No, but.
I think he's got room to put the snow.
Yeah, but I'm, no, well, I mean,
he-
snow
he made a
plowing as
comment-
opposed to
He made
removal.
a comment that because we don't have a bylaw about hours of operation, we can't regulate it on a special permit.
I didn't hear him say, I didn't hear him say that.
We
I-
have before, though.
Because, yeah, no, we can definitely regulate.
He said we couldn't. He said, don't forget, Templeton doesn't have a bylaw about hours of regulation, so we.
Who says that?
Kirk.
Who's he working for? Them.
Well, I know.
can-
that's
Why
why-
would he- why would he-
We can definitely-
Well, that's why I'm.
But his
but I mean, what
work
I'm
has
saying
nothing-
to finish
his
it is
work
I-
has nothing
I
to
wanna
do.
know I wanna clarify for the future, cause
It's
I,
like the fox watching the chicken coop. He might eat a few chickens.
I,
The work that he's doing has nothing to do with their hours of operation.
but I would like to know for the future, cause I think.
I
if we
believe that
wanted
we
to-
we can condition out,
if
and we've
it's a
done it
special
for.
permit,
right.
It's not by right. If it's by right, then maybe
Yeah,
not.
why, if it was by right, why did they even come here?
Right.
By right, they should've just done it.
Right.
They did it by right, they cut the trees. They didn't put no silt fence, that's by right. Right?
I make a
don't wanna-
motion
you wanna-
to,
Roll that back up and put it in there, cause it can't be
oh,
bent,
we need minutes.
That's funny.
mutilated, stapled, or
I
any of
just
that
ran
stuff.
into Brian Zock today, and we were joking around about that, because he had some stuff, he had gone to Staples, and he was
Yeah.
like, you know, protecting him, like,
Charlie, you accept a motion to approve the minutes? Are we done with this? Mylar?
I think we are. I would accept the motion.
You got my
I
pen,
wasn't
see.
here, so I can't move it, so.
I think I was here.
I have an issue on the new business, so.
I got no business too.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, we still get,
I think I'm running out of ink.
Really?
I make a motion, I second it.
second, okay. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Yep, so we got absentees. So I guess I got some new business.
Gotta finish signing first.
Our customary engineer, consulting engineer is usually, oh God, what's her name from West?
Sarah,
Sarah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
What happened that we did?
So, we contacted Sarah to have the review done. Sarah then said she wasn't sure if she could do it in time. So we will have a list of other engineers, and because it was, some rush, they wanted to, the meeting was coming up, so she wasn't sure if she could have it done in time for the meeting. So we went through the list and contacted one of the other engineers, and they were able to do a rush.
Does anybody know this gentleman? I've never seen or heard of him before.
We haven't worked with him before, but he is, he actually works for the city of Leominster.
Yep,
Even in the private sector, I've been trying to get a driveway designed over on Barry Road. I'm working with you and Luke on this thing. We're trying to get this thing engineered, drawn for spring, and I have gone through 3 engineers to finally get a design just now, and now it's too late in the season to do it, so we're going to next spring, so it's a year this client's been waiting for a driveway.
Yep. Yeah, so I think there's just a backlog, and then, of course, going into the winter season as well as the holiday season, too.
Okay, now, are we talking new business?
Yes, sir.
Okay, getting back to the Sarah situation. To begin with, I always thought this was a board, and we all of us should vote, not one or two making decisions. And I thought I was part of the board, apparently maybe I'm not, I don't know. The board had decided to choose a different peer engineer from a list of engineers. If I'm a board member, nobody asked me what my opinion was, so why put me in like I was one of the boards that decided, period. I don't like that, that's not fair. Wait, I'm not done yet. It gets worse. And these are all done, they're all dated, and not one of them is dated on any of our meetings. So these are done at Charlie's back room somewhere, maybe.
Or in the
I'm
planning.
gonna say it the way it is.
Go for it.
Okay, okay, then I had another one, which was the 8th. What happened? This is from Sarah now. I have cleared my weekend schedule and offered to pick up the plans from Wes today, and he just informed me.
We get to say those. We say those.
You listen, please? And he just informed me that he had recommended another engineer for the board. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have 8 members. We got 7 members. Wes is not a planning board member. Who is he to run our board? Who is he to pick the engineer? Yeah, he picked who he wanted. I mean, I smell a rat.
There,
No
I'm not
way.
sure where you're reading from, Frank. Is that come to
What am I
everybody?
reading it from? Stuff that you got, right?
from an email, you
Her
probably got
email.
it.
Did I get it, though? Am I on it?
You probably would
Can I see?
be.
But the point is, what's happening here? Okay, so we threw Sarah under the bus for this other guy, and Wes has the right to tell us what engineer we're gonna have? That's not right. When you have the people there telling us, that's a no-no. I got,
Is not Wes and this gentleman come
the Wes
both
is right
from
here.
Leominster?
I don't know that.
Wes comes from Templeton. Well, I mean,
Uh,
Wes
he-
grew up in
his
Templeton.
business is in Leominster.
Yes.
The business, yes.
The board has decided to choose a different peer review engineer. Am I part of the board?
I believe we're all part of the board.
Well, how come I never was asked? Answer me that question.
I think it was one of those things that happened in the office as to see if somebody could get in here in time for the meeting, and
Don't put the board, why don't you put down who says do it?
I didn't send that email.
Well, no, I don't know. Yeah, but the point is, all of us should have been, no, all of us. Did you hear about it? I did not. Did you hear about it?
No.
You?
This is the first I heard
You?
about
No,
it.
well, who we got left that did it? You didn't do it. Who did it?
I did it.
You did all this stuff with none of us even knowing about it? Do you
So-
think that's fair or right?
I don't.
Which is a board. This isn't a one-person lynch mob. This is a board. And act it like a board. I'm pissed off. Maybe you can tell. But I mean, we're just supposed to be a board. And then when you got, the guy out there is on the other side telling us who he's gonna get, that's right.
He contacted the board, he contacted the office.
He shouldn't have went that far. I mean, I've had it. This is, what kind of game we playing here? This looks so ignorant or so immature or not even intelligent running a board that way. Tell that guy, he tells us who you're gonna have. You throw our engineer under the bus. That's not, and we don't know about it. Is that fair?
I do have some concerns about that, because I'm not sure Sarah would have come up with a more complete report, too.
Oh, I believe so. He didn't give us nothing.
No.
He gave us what he wanted them to give him. You can see it right there. So that's where I'm kinda upset about. I mean, this don't make a mockery of all of us. And don't put my name on something I didn't even know about.
If we had concerns, I mean, we had the opportunity to address the engineers, we had
Call
opportunities
us,
to.
we're all around. You can
this-
call us.
This is the
I
place.
mean, in the meeting tonight.
This is the place to address it, not with,
I was gonna
during the
bring up, I
hearing.
figured it wasn't a good time. I just figured the board knows about it.
I hear what you're saying. I was just asked to see if we could expedite things and have a peer review done so that we had the information in front of us at the meeting to address what was here.
But Sarah wasn't even given a chance to complete that.
I actually have an email though that says Sarah said she would not have
No,
been
she
able to.
said she would been here.
Well, I have an email from Sarah.
I'm going by what I'm reading there. You read it.
Yeah, I had cleared my weekends. Is this Sarah speaking? I had
Yes.
cleared my weekend schedule and offered to pick up plans from Wes today. And he just informed me that he recommended another engineer.
He recommended. Who the hell is he to recommend? That's the opposition. That's the fox and the chicken.
Right. This seems highly unprofessional. I told him that I would make every effort to complete a review for the meeting on Tuesday. So.
So we look like jerks. I mean, if we're gonna be
Sure,
little pussyfoots.
So we're actually
Charlie,
So I have one.
taking
I have-
an evaluation of this project from somebody who may have some other.
I have a email from Sarah states, by the end of the weekend, in quotations, being delivered Friday PM. That's tough. I'll be teaching in Fitchburg Friday at noon, so we might be able to meet and exchange plans. I will do what I can, but obviously it depends on the complexity of the plans and drainage. So, yes, I think that Whitman Bingham should have gotten plans to her sooner than the last on, Friday PM. So I definitely think that they were not as forthcoming with her as they should have been to get the information to her
You
as
didn't have the
quickly.
right to throw her under the bus. We all should have did if we wanted. Not you. I mean, it's not personal, but it is
Oh, no,
kind of,
it's-
it's just not right. You can't run a planning board that way. You might as well not have it. If you're gonna have them tell us who we gotta hire and what we gotta say yes and no to.
What's interesting, so I agree, Frank, I agree with what you're saying.
I mean, this is.
But I'm wondering,
We're going so backwards, this is ridiculous.
but you know, what's interesting is if I was looking for a good engineer myself, right? I would ask Wes.
Yeah, but that wasn't the way it was handled.
But
He,
what-
Do you know what I mean? Like,
West plays for
I,
the
I,
other
I,
side.
no, I know, but he also plays for us most of the time.
Yeah, but this
And
time he's
so-
not.
No, I know, but
why was he so scared of Sarah? Because she's gonna be thorough?
I can't imagine that's what it is.
No,
I hope
Sarah's
not.
thorough.
This is the way that I took it. Maybe I don't know the details, but I took it as they're in a rush.
Right.
That's not
That
our
doesn't
problem.
necessarily sound
I
good.
agree, but they're in a rush. They got the whistle blown on them, and now you've got this open site where they started work, so they got a cease and desist. So they're trying to placate the building department and get the job done.
Who made the problem themselves?
I agree, but Charlie's a nice guy, and so I can see him going, let's expedite this to help.
And that's really what it came from. I want to see,
And
things.
so I understand, Monday morning quarterback, I understand how you feel, but I didn't think of it until you just brought it
Yeah,
up.
me.
Put it that way, I didn't think of it
Well,
at
the
all.
thing is, if the word got out, if you wanted to start a project tomorrow, don't go nowhere, get started, come here, cry to us, you're in a rush, because snowstorm's coming. We're gonna give you what you want, because
Well, we did.
you made problems?
No, wait a minute,
You can't
Dennis.
run a business
We
that
gave them
way.
what they wanted because the engineers designed this according to the regulations of the state.
But they're
Well, we don't,
working,
we don't know, cause that
they're
engineer,
working for those
they're
people,
sleeping
though.
together.
But they still have to do it according to the
I agree with
regulations
what
of
you're
the
saying,
state.
Frank.
There's also,
There was,
Why
I agree,
did
and I
he-
agree with what
he
Chris
should
just
never
said,
picked
but
him.
I don't think we can say, Dennis, that they're working for the other team. I don't think we can say that
You
this
don't know?
gentleman
You
here was.
don't know?
I don't think we can say that this gentleman's working for the other team.
we
Well,
don't know that.
But-
I mean, he
right, we
was
don't know that,
recommended
so-
by the other
So
team.
saying that
The other team
is,
picked him.
Yeah, the other team picked him.
well, we have,
but they're still going through the EPA, they're still going through, I mean, they
Right,
have.
and
But the EPA isn't
They're not gonna-
and he has
over their
to,
heads already. They can't go to even probably
Anyway,
look at this
it's
project.
done, but
I think, and I agree with you, and I
Like
think
it.
what should happen in the future, if I could make a suggestion, if something like this comes up again, and I know exactly why you did what you did, Charlie, but just send an email to everybody saying, hey, look, we're under the gun, I'm sending the email, here's what here's what I'm
Right.
suggesting the board would like
It's
to
supposed to
do,
be a board.
without response by Friday at noon time, I'm gonna assume you agree with it, and we're gonna move forward.
Yeah.
That's what we do
No,
in
and
our
again, we
industry.
definitely,
Being under the gun isn't
No, it's-
necessarily a
but
good
that's why
excuse
you
for
give a
skipping the
timeframe.
steps
How
that
many
you have
times we've had
put there
people
to protect
wait
us.
months and months, people come in, have it be that little subdivision in, Templeton, that guy come here 6, 7 times.
I know.
Cause he didn't have one pipe or one drainage pipe. We can say, let's give it to him.
No, I don't agree. I don't say we should give it to him. I agree with you completely. I don't think we should give it to him. I'm just saying that in the future, if something like this comes up, send an email to the entire board,
Right.
or make a phone call to everybody and say, hey, if I don't hear from you, if this is Wednesday, if I don't hear from you by Friday at noon time.
Why'd you wait till the next board meeting?
I will say, and one of the reasons that
That's what we have meetings for.
but one of the reasons I will say that I'm willing to push things, this town is in such a financial hardship. We should be our doors should be closed. We need business more than anything in this town.
Not that way. Not that way.
I'm
You think that they would've backed out because it's been a month down the road? No. When they got $500,000 tied up, a month down the
maybe,
road,
you know what,
they're
and
not
maybe they
gonna
wouldn't
run.
be, but you know what? As long as I'm someplace in charge or have some, be on a board, I wanna see us bring business into this
We'll do a better
community.
job than this. Really.
And you know what, and maybe.
We're a board now, remember that. You're not a one-man mayor or whatever, we're a board. 7 people. And it needs
I
4
agree.
votes to do it.
I agree.
And don't give us even a chance to vote.
Charlie,
Yes.
don't take
Oh,
this
you're wrong.
personally. I know that this was dropped in your lap at the last minute,
Oh, he likes that.
but, it really was not a good, I mean, the events that occurred tonight were not great.
They
I
weren't
didn't
great.
feel at all comfortable with it.
What do you mean? I'm sorry. We have two engineers.
Yeah, playing, we don't know for what.
I mean, I understand what Frank said, and what I agree with what Frank said, but what happened here tonight was Wes, who is our typical peer.
But he's
So
not
we, but wait a minute, we trust him more than we trust most other engineers. So our typical peer engineer happened to work for a client. So we, how we got that person, I agree with Frank, we probably should have done it a little differently.
Little.
I'm agreeing, Frank. But that person still represented the town under their license, their credential, to make sure that things are done in accordance with the law. I don't, it's like, we didn't skip that, that
We have a
happened.
backup person to do that, and that person wasn't tapped for this
No,
project.
I agree with what Frank said.
What are you guys, holding out? Let me get one of my missing.
Here you go. I agree with what Frank said, that it could have been that part, but I don't think we shortcutted anything tonight. And I know you had said, like, we should keep it open. Keep it open for what? We're not accepting any new information.
Well, I don't think
The only
we've
time we
ever in 35 years have had somebody come in with a peer review and have them walk out with an answer.
That's not, I
mean, I
don't
think
know,
that-
Frank.
We don't
there's
typically
some-
do that.
They should at least, because they're illegal right now, they should at least have the hay bales up, the silt fence up.
They can't do anything until we approve
Or
it.
they can put the hay bales up
They can't do a thing, they gotta cease and desist.
of doing it illegal.
They can't do anything until we approve it.
So you leave it without the hay bales long as.
They have no choice, they can't go on the property.
Why'd they even start it wrong?
Well, that's a whole different story.
That's a different story.
But that was what we were
And-
played
And
with.
that's why I'm saying, I don't think it's, we understand the point, and we agree.
I agree with,
But it's not Charlie's fault either that he was put pressure on to do this quick, you know?
You don't do things one man on a board.
I understand
I
that.
don't care what board you belong to.
I agree.
Any board's a board, why have a board? Why not just have one man?
So I think in the future,
But we also, we did have engineers in here, we did all, go over everything, I mean, yes, I will say, I'll take responsibility that I definitely get the engineer in here a little more quickly, and I should have been more transparent and opened up to let everyone know that. But we also went through our typical review process and ascertained the information, and we had, more people in the audience than we usually do, and input from the town residents and, the abutters. I mean, I feel comfortable that we did our due diligence to go through and make sure that.
You couldn't stop it, there's no reason to stop it.
Well, that's what I mean.
But
Like,
I
so,
mean,
so why prevent it? Like, why?
Well, no, I mean, he's not saying that, but I think the point is made, Charlie owns it, and it's an education for a young guy like me. I don't have the experience that you have, so, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily even have thought of that. I didn't think of it
I
until
didn't
you
until
brought
you brought it up either.
You know, it's obvious now that you bring it up.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know about it because it's a secret.
Right.
Well, it wasn't a secret. It was.
Well, it was, you didn't know about it. Why didn't you as a board?
Well, it's in the email. Apparently, I didn't see it.
7 of us don't get it?
Well, it says it went to us.
I sent a letter, the letter she wrote to everybody.
I did receive that, yeah. But
That's what she wanted.
I read away when I read it this morning.
You gotta really read your mail now.
I read this morning, I read it, but it was too late then to.
I don't remember. I think it was,
Which
Yes,
letter, is it one of the
today.
things Frank read, or is it
Oh, it's
something
right here.
else?
It
Yes.
should be the same.
You sent it
It's
yesterday.
basically the
Yes.
same as what
The 8th,
Frank read.
December 8th, and December 8th, in,
those were, I got
11th,
all,
December 11th.
everything, all the same day, which was Monday.
These are all the emails that probably, I think they're kind of all.
Well,
anyways, that's history,
Yeah,
but.
well,
Shame
No,
on me for
I
not
would-
reading the email too.
I would like to reach out to Sarah and apologize for the way things were handled.
yeah, I think that would be nice to let her know that we,
Yeah, no, because we have a nice working relationship with her, so I would like to, do
I'd like
that.
to try to see if we can maintain that.
See if the Grinch will bring her Christmas tree back.
Now, the other concern that I have is this piece of land now will be forever contaminated.
Yeah,
It will not be able to be used again for anything else until it's cleared by the EPA, and that will be after they have to remove
You
all
won't
the
be here,
topsoil
Dennis.
and.
Yeah.
you won't be here.
That's,
Again, here's the thing, Dennis, bring some business.
Business is nice.
Bring some business to us, please.
Business is nice,
I
but
would love to
bad
see-
business is not necessarily.
And I'm not necessarily saying, I see jobs, I see, things to stop contamination. I mean, one of the most contaminated things in are apple orchards. Like, there's, sadly, the world we live in, and I agree with you, there should be, but that's why we have checks and balances in
Days of
place.
DTT, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
So-
buy that no more.
No, I know, but there's a good reason.
Do we wanna,
Yeah.
But,
do we wanna wrap up this?
but we should learn
We're
from
still in
those
the meeting
lessons, not to do this kind of stuff.
Agreed.
No
But I
football
wouldn't
game
wanna
tonight.
suggest we shortcutted something.
I don't think we did, I think we went through our typical process, and I think,
I think you're sending a letter to Sarah would be nice.
Yep.
I think. Like that
Absolutely.
idea. Good.
Yep.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll
We
second
still
that.
have more things.
Oh, what do we have?
We approved the minutes, and we're under new business. That's usually less.
Someone needs,
Oh,
there's a
designated.
letter in the packet, Montachusett wants
now, and that's a
someone approved.
yes, and now I've actually been to, I think, 2 or 3 of those meetings so
I
far.
have been to none, I have to be honest. They're all during the daytime for the most part, and I'm really kinda tied up from many of the days that they have them.
I have been to a few of them, so I know that in the past I had not, but we had a meeting a while ago and we discussed the fact that we actually need to become more involved with MRPC, to get, because of the opportunities and things. So I've actually made a bigger effort to go, to more of those meetings, so.
So you're taking that hit for
I mean, I'm a bit on it. I mean, if somebody else wants to jump on that grenade, have at it.
Okay,
Oh, Dennis.
Thank you.
thank you, yeah,
Huh?
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm on one of those committees too, and like I say, the
I just-
meetings are not scheduled at times tonight.
You are retired, correct?
I'm retired, but I'll tell you right now.
I just wanted to clarify that.
If you ever get retired, don't get involved in anything because you get busier than you ever were when you worked.
And
I'm working, I'm involved in those, those things.
we also have to approve for the money to go back in.
Okay, actually, I was kinda curious on this one.
Do we get paid this
Do we have
year?
any info on that?
Yeah, there's a letter
Do we get paid this year?
that came
A
from
vote to return the
Kelly.
funds to the general fund?
So what,
I keep getting emails about last chance to put in for your budget.
so this is,
Is this our funds?
Yeah,
What do we have for
let me
funds?
just,
We have funds, well,
so as of today, you have a balance of $617.73 in the master plan account. On March 20th, 2017, you voted for the final master plan. If you have any need for these funds with regards to the master plan, copies, etc., please use these funds by the end of this fiscal year. If not, please place this on your next agenda to vote to return these funds to the general fund. If the funds are not returned to the general fund, please provide the accountant's office with the minutes of the meeting in the vote. So, do
don't
we
have no
need,
funds, do we?
I guess we still have $617 in the
Well,
master
give
plan.
it to 'em.
So does that leave us with nothing?
But I guess it is in the master plan account, so if the master plan is
Oh,
done,
it's specific for the master plan.
Right.
Okay.
So
So I
is
guess we
that-
have to return it.
Is it
Yeah.
done? It's done, isn't it? The master plan?
yep, because we voted, it's completely approved, it's all, I don't think we, unless we need copies or anything made,
the minutes for that vote are attached.
attached.
That would almost just be a waste to make copies.
Well, I was gonna say, I just wanted, just to make sure that we don't need anything like that done, but if
Can't we use
not,
that money for a little party or something?
I mean, we put a lot of work into that master plan, right? We're gonna do this together though, not by myself, we're gonna plan this party with everybody.
I forgot what I told you, I have a shot.
I make a motion that we approve transferring the funds back to the general.
Oh, gee, John, your money back? You should never do that.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Uh,
All those in favor?
I make a motion to adjourn.
And
We good?
There you
We're all
go.
done?
with a
We're all
reluctant,
done now.
with a
That's it.
reluctant vote.
Okay, I know, right?
Reluctantly.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much, we are adjourned.
When's our next meeting, next year?